After a breakup and a one-way ticket to Amsterdam, she started drawing her diary. 90,000 followers later, her cartoon universe, Vanilla Cool Dance, is breaking taboos about shame, sex, identity, and intimacy. Please welcome on stage someone who turned her most private truths into the most public art, Jessica Stahl.
Hello. When people hear that I draw cartoons, they usually think something wholesome. SpongeBob, Mickey Mouse, and yes, I draw a cartoon character too. She just so happens to be talking about vulvas, she will be up here soon, vulvas, periods, menopause, STDs, bad sex, great orgasms, and everything that women have been taught to hide. Which isn't so... Which honestly isn't that crazy, because I come from a long line of women who were not especially committed to tasteful silence. My mom gave me my very first vibrator, and my 99-year-old and my 99-year-old Granny Annie once said, "Sweetie, you may draw about masturbation, but we've known about the One Finger Express for quite some time." Which makes it even weirder that despite these incredible women, I still grew up so insecure and hiding so much of myself. The same year that I was voted most awkward in high school, I found a hair growing out of my nipple, just to give you a sense of who I was. And I had read in Cosmo magazine that nipple hair could be a sign of cancer. So naturally, I thought I was dying. And what was I going to do? Was I going to ask my friends? Was I going to ask my mom? That would be horrible. So instead, I did what women have been doing for generations. I quietly hoped that the problem would disappear or be plucked away before anyone would ever find out. I hid, and I was left with the big, fat question, am I normal? And that question followed me straight into college, into my 20s, and into my early career. I tried to be as normal as possible, to do anything I could do to fit in. I was basically the walking poster child of the status quo. Until one day, life threw me a curveball, as it loves to do, and I found myself in Amsterdam, unemployed, heartbroken, and illegally living with 17 Dutch housemates in a room that isn't even legally allowed to be rented out because it was the size of a closet. Now, this was not necessarily the eat, pray, love European romance that I had envisioned for myself. It was just me crying a lot in a city I barely knew, surrounded by tall people, a ton of rain, and my own shame. And for the first time in my life, I had nothing to hide behind and no path to follow. And I realized I had no idea who the fuck I was. And so I decided I would draw the woman I needed. And boy, she had a fuck ton to say. She had desires, she had needs, she had questions. She didn't understand the systems that we were born into. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind, and she definitely wasn't afraid of body hair. And her name is Vanilla Cool Dance. And as I started to share Vanilla Cool Dance with the world, instead of people running away, they started to come closer. And all of a sudden, thousands of women from around the world were messaging me. I thought I was the only one. I had no idea that others felt this way. And I realized that we are all walking around with the same exact secrets. And by keeping them quiet, keeping the shame to ourselves, we think that we're softening it, but we're actually just making it so much louder. And as Vanilla Cool Dance grew, she honestly took on a life of her own. She was just like out there. And suddenly, the world started meeting the most bold, brave, badass, unapologetic version of me before I had ever become her. because Vanilla Cool Dance could explain the orgasm gap to a man mid-hookup, but me, Jessica, God forbid I had the audacity to be like, excuse me, sir, could you go down on me? Vanilla Cool Dance could set boundaries left and right, and meanwhile I was over there being like, walk all over mine. I could practically hear her screaming from the page, what the fuck are you doing? And this wasn't just in dating. This was everywhere in my life. Because the same shame that makes you fake an orgasm makes you soften an email. It tells you not to ask for more, not to challenge the bad idea, not to be difficult, not to take up space. Well, I was fucking over it. And so I decided, what would happen if I actually took Vanilla Cool Dance's advice? And over the years, I finally started to change, and I could feel the gap between the woman I was drawing and the woman I was becoming start to shrink. And it was incredible. I felt so powerful. I would walk into rooms so confident. I finally had a voice. But the world does not love a woman who has found her voice, and it is not easy. She has been censored, misunderstood, told that she's too much and too inappropriate, and every time the world has asked me to make her smaller, I had to decide, was I going to shrink with her, or was I going to fight for her? Was I going to protect her? And was I going to allow her to thrive in this world that we've all created? Well, I had been silent long enough, and so I fight. For 10 years, I thought I was raising Vanilla Cool Dance, but really, she was raising me. And when I finally stopped hiding who I was, I figured out who the fuck I am. I'm alive, I'm messy, I'm chaotic, I'm sexual, I'm kinky, I have dreams, I'm sensitive, I'm brave, but I'm also afraid a lot, and I'm definitely a little bit weird. So, am I normal? No. But I am fucking shameless, and I think that Granny Annie and my mom would be proud.
I just realized I desperately need a secret alter ego.